Our final video in this tutorial series will be dealing with the section menu of profile sections and profile pages. So just like any other directory in the system, directories in the profile system generate a Nav Inc. file when they're put in place. So here we have the MRC profile listing page for that entire directory and all its subdirectories. And if I go in and look in that folder, it has a Nav Inc. Just like any other directory in the system. And like every other directory in the system, what it's doing is it is creating links to the pages and such that are inside the directory. So if we come over here and look at the section menu, if I click web services, it sends me to the web services profile listing page, so on and so forth. Now, in most cases, people aren't going to want the section menu here just to go here, because if they link to this page, they're not going to have their normal department section menu. They're going to have the profile section menu instead. So we want to look for ways to change out this nav for the one for the main directory. There's three ways of doing this. The first one is basically to follow the directions for creating the mirrored profile listing pages. You'll find in video 5 mirroring profile listing pages. By creating that page in the directory and essentially having it pull all the information into that page from there, your page will be using that section menu, the one that's in your directory will. So you don't have to worry about it in that case. It's automatically applied there. There is one caveat to this method, and that is if you are looking to link to individual groups profile listing pages, they're not going to have that nav. So in that case, if you're also going to create links that go out to the individual teams pages separately, you're going to want to use either method 2 or 3 to take care of the nav pages in their specific directories. The second method is you can actually tell the system to override the nav file with a nav file from another area. So in case I wanted to do this with Media Resources Center, let's say, I could do that by going out here. I'm going to go out to pages, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back one step to services, and I'm going to find the Media Resources Center folder. There it is. And I'm wanting to use the Nav Inc. file from the main Media Resources Center page right here, okay, which is all the different departments for there. So I could close this up, and I'm going to come back out to services, and I'm going to go to the more actions icon over on the far right side for it, go to edit, and I'm going to go to access. And we want to go down to directory variables, variables for this folder. This is where we're going to do this. I'm going to click the add button. We're going to create a new variable. I'm going to open that up. The new variable that we are going to place here is navigation -start. I'm going to click create new variable. There it is. So in the value, we're going to want to point it at the directory in which the nav file it's going to refer to is. In this case, it is Media Resources Centers. And what we're needing here is the URL after services, after the wichita.edu. So we want /services up through MRC. We don't want the page. The reason is MRC is the folder that the Nav Inc. that we're connecting to lives in. We don't want to connect it to a page. We want to connect it to a folder. It's going to thereby automatically look in that folder for that folder's nav file, and it's going to access it and apply it over there. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to come back over, drop that in the value, like so. Now I'm going to click save. And it's going to save that setting. So now I'm going to go in to Media Resources Center. I'm going to open the index page, check it out, and I'm going to republish it. And say rerouted now to main MRC instead. I'm going to republish the page. And what we will see now when I open the section menu is that we have overridden the navigation to the main MRC navigation. And so we can use that to override the nav to make it work. And not only that, but if I come down into the other directories, pages, if I come down to, say, web services here, and I've got the index page here, and I'm going to look at the index page live. And you can see that it is still showing the older version of it. What we want to do here is just like we did with the main MRC listing page, is to go ahead, check it out, and publish it. Like so. We find that once we republish the page, we have brought over the MRC nav over here. So what you'll want to do if you use this technique is you'll want to go through all the pages in your profiles, cascading downward, and republish the pages. Effectively, this one change to the folder will affect all of the pages cascading downward. You'll just need to remember to go in and republish all of them. If you would like to use the nav override redirect like that, and you're having trouble getting it to work, just send us a support form request and we'd be happy to help you out with that. Finally, we have direct nav code replacement, which is a bit of a sort of dirtier answer to the issue that requires more work, but it can be done. That would be, here we are back on MRC leadership's page, and I have switched back to the nav setting that goes to the profiles instead. So this would be directly replacing the source code in one nav file with another. So in this case, what I would do is come back into the directory for Media Resources Center. We've got the nav file right there, and I can open that and click source. This is the source code for that nav as it is right now. Now I want to use the nav from Media Resources Center, of course, which is right here. And for this, I'm going to go into Backstage View, go into Content Pages, and access this nav, okay, and go into Source. And all I'm going to do is Control or Command A to select everything there, copy, and I'm going to go ahead and check in the file just as a safeguard. I don't want to end up messing up something, so to speak. Close that out, come back over to the one in the profiles directory, select all, paste, save, and publish. Place nav source code. And this will result in a direct replacement of the nav with the other. We can see that it has now replaced the nav. Now, while this does replace the nav here, it is a bit of a dirtier answer for the problem than the previous version was for a couple of reasons. One, this is not going to cascade through all the directories. So for all the subdirectories underneath, you would have to go in and replace those navs as well. Unlike the previous version, which just cascades through all of the navs in the directory. The second issue is, since it's not wired up to use that same nav, if any changes are made to the nav that you want to apply into the profiles, you're going to have to go to each of the nav files in the directory separately in order to apply the changes you made. Whereas with the previous method, it's just pulling that nav from your normal directory, and any changes that get applied there are going to cascade over because it's effectively mirroring it across the different directories. But those are the three methods of making your nav behave for you. And if you run into any issues, don't hesitate to send us a support form request and we will help you out. Thank you.